everybody.
Hi.
It's us, Those Wrestling Girls. I'm Krista B.
And it's Queen PR.
And we are back with our 5th episode.
Yes.
And we just have to say thank you for being patient with us. You know, we was hitting some hard times trying to figure out our next move.
Life shit.
So, yeah. But now we're back and we have a lot to talk about. So, P, you want to start off?
Sure. So I wanted this episode to kind of be like a reintroduction of Those Wrestling Girls to everybody and kind of like why we started, where the state of women's wrestling is now, and talk about the very newest, hottest promotion that everybody's talking about right now, which of course is All Elite Wrestling. We'll dive in on that. Their women's division, we'll dive in on Double or Nothing, and then just the state of women's wrestling right now and where we think the future of women's wrestling is going.
Okay, yeah. So the reintroduction.
Yeah. So why do we start Those Wrestling Girls?
We started Those Wrestling Girls because one, we're wrestling fans, which we would have never known had we didn't meet years ago. And two, we started because we saw how the women was getting this platform, not even just in wrestling, but everywhere in soccer and basketball and tennis. So we just was like, we have to jump on this. We have to literally focus on this women's evolution. Yeah. So that's why we started Those Wrestling Girls. We wanted to give other women a voice because you never know who's a wrestling fan until you start talking to them. Yeah, it's so funny. Like you meet people and they'll see like my phone screen, it'll have like Charlotte and Becky, and then you'll have a conversation with someone. You're like, I had no idea you liked wrestling. And so it's been fun. Like we've been getting a lot of subscribers that way too. Yeah. So that's why we started, to give people that sense of community, sense of belonging. Because it's like, why do you watch wrestling? It's fake. I haven't watched wrestling since The Rock and Stone Cold or Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan, but you never hear them say, I've never watched wrestling since China or since Ivory or since Sherry Martel. Or
that's a good point, Krista.
So now we can be like, oh yeah, the women are actually doing their thing. Yeah. You know, Charlotte is doing this and Becky is doing that, and Sasha left, but at least Sasha's in the conversation, you know. So that's why we started, and that's why we're keeping it going. Yeah. So, and it's funny because we've been revamping. As you all see, we have a new logo, we have a bunch of stuff, and I was been changing like our bios on our social media, and we were focused mainly on the WWE quote unquote women's evolution. And that was very inspiring to us in the year of 2018, going into Wrestlemania and all the history-making moments that's been happening. But we kind of noticed there's been a little bit of a decline in the WWE women's evolution, which I don't even think exists. I feel kind of foolish even saying that anymore. Yeah. And as a WWE loyalist, I can't believe that I'm actually like losing interest. Right. And I'm really excited that there's a new promotion and a whole new women's division that we can kind of like dive into. Just kind of crazy. I agree. At first, you know, we was watching it, 4 Horsewomen, Ronda Rousey, even when the Bella Twins, you know, and then like the women started to decline, and then you started seeing the same stereotypes: tall, blonde hair, blue eyes. The underdog story with Becky Lynch, now Bayley. So now it's just like, Now I went back to 2-minute matches, and we've definitely like, digressed. If that's like it's not cool in a sense, especially because we literally watch it for the women, and me watching it for Roman Reigns, sidebar. But we literally watch it for the women, and for the women not to have that platform that they once had is like, sorry to say, Vince is stuck in his ways. He's so stuck in his ways. It's so annoying at this point. It really, like, really it's draining, it's tiring. Sometimes it can be disgusting to figure out how he puts these women. There aren't people writing for women. No. There aren't women writing for women. Yeah. And you can feel it. And it's disappointing too, because before it was always, well, they don't have the talent. It was always like 1 or 2 or 3 like really good female wrestlers. And that was usually like the division, and everyone else around them kind of got carried by them. And now you have a plethora of women talent. Like you have NXT, you had 2 Mae Young class. Like you have the talent, you have the roster, you added new championships. You would think that there would be a growth in the visibility of women and the storylines and all that kind of stuff. But literally, like, we went back to like
give divas a chance style like storylines and stuff. And
I started a hashtag again. Like, I think it was give Becky a chance or give Bailey a chance or no more 2-minute matches. I think I started something. I'll find it on Twitter. We gotta start
that again because, and I love Becky Lynch. Don't get me wrong. I love Charlotte, but we've seen them. They've done their thing. That's the tip of the iceberg of the women's division and the talent and the personalities and the athleticism that the WWE women's division has. And you keep showing these same like blonde women and the story. Like, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm over it. Yeah, that was so funny.
The McMahon twins.
That was so funny and like so true. So now All Elite Wrestling comes out, and one of the most talked about things about All Elite was diversity and representation. Right. And those are two words you don't really associate with WWE right away, which is another reason why our podcast exists. So I love that. That was one of the first press conference, like Brandy Rhodes was like, diversity is going to be something that is important to us. We're going to definitely, show the women in a way that they haven't been presented before. And even just Brandy Rhodes' role in general, I think is going to be really inspiring because it's like, we'll see like she has the same role as Stephanie McMahon, right? But in a whole different universe. So I'm excited to see where Brandy Rhodes takes the women's division in All Elite.
Yeah, I mean, her role is definitely a pivotal moment in what we need to see as far as representation. I do like the fact that she has that somewhat same role as Stephanie McMahon, and how she brings more diversity because she is a woman of color. And I remember after Cody's match with Dustin, he had that press conference and he said something to the fact of his wife, when he told his wife, "Oh, I don't see color," and his wife was like, "Well, if you don't see color, you don't see me." And at that moment, I was just like, "Damn, Brandy, yeah, that's true.
Yes, bitch.
That's right. That's true." And for the diversity, like I missed the match. I saw clips of it because I was literally running around with the other jobs, 11 jobs that I have.
This is super busy, yo.
Super busy. I don't even know how I'm up right now, but I saw that the people that we wanted to see come back to WWE are now in AEW. Awesome Kong. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah. If we were in Vegas, we probably would have helped them blow the roof off.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That arena.
And I've been reading so much about, like, I just read Sisterhood of the Ring, the history of women's wrestling. And so I've been reading about Awesome Kong literally for like the last 2 months. So then to see her come back, or even Aja Kong, the whole women's division in All Elite right now is exciting. And it's like superstars that you like hear about because, again, I am a WWE loyalist. So for me, that is wrestling. So I'm just kind of like opening my eyes to other promotions. So I only read about these women and how dynamic they are and the impact they made on the industry. So now that there's a promotion where I can like dive in, and I know that they've been in other promotions, but with All Elite, like I get to jump in and discover this whole new division and see like where it goes.
Right. I saw really something on Twitter when Awesome Kong came out. It was a picture of Awesome Kong and it was a picture of Nikki Bella side by side, and it said, "This is a match we're still waiting to see." Ooh. Because remember they had that little riff.
Yeah.
And then Awesome Kong wasn't there anymore.
So much potential.
Right.
I still think about that promo.
Right.
With the Barbie dolls and just the potential that even today they can use that same storyline, because think about who WWE's pushing. Mandy Rose.
I don't know why.
Sexy blonde. Charlotte speaks for herself, still a white blonde. Like
Lacey Evans,
even like, come on.
Right.
Come on.
And then another interesting thing I saw when we talk about it on Twitter when JR was like, "Oh, I hope you enjoyed the match and the show and this, that, and third." And Naomi retweeted and was like, "I did." And now people started drawing speculation like, "Oh my God, Naomi's gonna go to AEW," which I would not be mad at because it's like they don't give them that shine. It's like if you're a person of color, if you're a homosexual person, if you have red hair or you're not American, it's like they don't give you that chance.
They don't.
Becky really had to fight. Watching her 24.
Oh, that was a really good watch.
So I literally cried.
Yeah, me too.
Cried.
Me too. I really got to see like Becky Lynch in a whole new light. Like I got to see who she really is and like her journey. Like, and heard her like on Lillian yeah, no, I love Chasing Glory. Like I've heard her on Lillian's podcast, so I knew a little bit of her story, but she actually talked more, and then seeing her in her hometown in the 24 really was like you feel like Becky's like your friend, like,
right? Yeah,
we all watched our friend make it.
Yeah, Becky, you're our bestie now, so you know, next time just shout out those wrestling girls. Yeah. We love you always.
We be perfectly okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is, you saw a vulnerable side of her. You saw how hard she has. Like, I think the part where Nia mistakenly like punched her in the face right before Survivor Series, and she was like really fighting hard to fight, and she couldn't remember the words. She couldn't go out because she had a concussion. Yeah. And then to see towards the end how Seth Rollins was crying when he won.
He's so emotional. I love him. He's so sensitive.
The fact that he stood by her every step of the way, starting from friends, and now they're like the it couple of WWE.
They're like the power couple.
And it's just like, to see that is like, you know how hard she worked. And it's not just reflecting from her, but it's reflecting from her peers, from her friends, from her family.
Seth talk about how she's literally never satisfied.
Right.
Like they gave her 2 belts and she still came home and still wanted more.
Right.
That inspired me so much. And I think so me and Krista always talk about fate and God and like how the universe sometimes just like comes together. And I think the timing of like watching Becky's story and us revamping our show was like kind of kismet, because she really like pushed me to be like, you know what? Yeah, I don't care how many months or years or like tribulations we go through, like we're gonna keep pushing, because who knows
where this is gonna
where the hell is gonna take us. So like, how excited are you for All Elite Wrestling? How do you feel about their women's division and some of their signees? I'm going to just read off some of the people that have the women's division that got signed. B. Presley, Britt Baker, who was on Double or Nothing. And if I slaughter these names, don't kill me.
Let me help.
Hikaru, Kylie Ray, who I think is adorable.
Yes.
She's adorable.
Brianna Sperry, Nyla Rose, Penelope Ford, Olivia Hassler, Sadie Gibbs, Ree,
and like Awesome Kong, of course.
Brandy Rose. Yeah. She's wrestling as well.
And I'm excited.
Yeah,
it's like a whole new.
It's like you hear of these women's all over New Japan Pro, Impact, even coming straight from the other indies.
Yeah.
And then on All Elite, I feel like it's gonna be another Monday Night Wars thing.
That was gonna be my next question for you, is do you think we're witnessing that again?
Yes, and this is something I would actually watch, because
I can't wait.
Attitude Era babies.
Yes,
forget WCW and Nitro. What the hell was that? Right. But now that we have these women who are in the forefront of AEW, I just really hope that it stays that way.
Me too.
And I feel like with Brandy, it will. Like Stephanie, she had me. Yes, I'm happy for it. But then she still has an answer to her father.
Yeah. And he's still very old school in thinking. And you can just see like in Vince's mind, what sells is like the big, strong guy. So like Brock Lesnar and like the men are still going to be his number one focus and priority. And we all know it was probably Triple H's and Stephanie's influence that women even got that quote unquote evolution. And I hate that I have to say quote unquote evolution, because that's why we even started this show, because we thought we were like going to witness this like skyrocket of like women visibility, like 50%, hopefully.
Well, we are. We just thought it was going to be more so in WWE.
Yeah.
We are witnessing the skyrocket of women's evolution.
Yeah, we
just thought it was going to be in WWE.
Yeah.
But everything happens for a reason. So we just have to see where this is going to go. Yeah. I'm excited. Like I'm ready to be flipping through channels.
Me too. Like we're literally witnessing the wrestling world change like right before our eyes. Right. And the fact that we get to speak on the women's involvement in all of this is I'm just so excited for that first show, just to see like how women are going to be like represented. And I want to talk about ratings real quick, because that's been like a huge thing. I think the lower shipping ratings like has to do with the lack of women visibility.
I feel so.
Like I think people were craving that, like on Twitter, like we're literally craving just at least a third women's, like we have 3 3 women's championship belts and usually have 1 5-minute match or a promo of women on Raw and or SmackDown. SmackDown's sometimes a little bit better than Raw, but I mean, we all know how bad Raw is. Do you think if they put more shine on the women's division that ratings would go up?
You really asking me that question like you don't know the answer to it?
Like,
duh. No, but yeah, you're right. It's like the Iconics won the tag team titles off of Sasha and Bayley. Even when Bayley and Sasha became the first at Elimination Chamber, they had really no time to really defend it. Everybody wanted them to defend it. They came out. They wanted to. Plans. They came to NXT. It's like they was doing that Lacey Evans shtick. You come out, you wave, and then peace out. And then the chance you actually give them that time to actually fight, you make them lose to the Iconics.
Who rarely wrestle, really defend it. And I like the Iconics, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I do like that they're champions. If they actually took the time to develop a women's tag team division, then I would be like, okay, we can, and they actually like put time into it every week, then I could be like, okay, let's see where this is going. We can have some rematches or whatever. But it was like they lost the belts and then the championship belt kind of like went back into the background. And to think of the work that Sasha and Bayley put into getting the belts even there, and then the work that they were probably planning on doing with the belts to make them legitimate is now like, I don't see obsolete. The legitimacy of the belt except for like, oh, the Iconics are funny and they're going to come out and talk about their 2 belts. And, you know, but to think of like what Sasha and Bayley wanted to do with the belts, take them to NXT and like do like open challenge. And then you would also give shine to the tag teams in NXT, the tag teams in NXT UK. It was so much possibility. Like they had a mission. So it sucks that they're not being able to do that. And it just diminishes. And every week I get more and more disappointed.
That just goes to show there are too many wheels turning and not enough controllers. Like everybody's just like, all right, we got to focus on here, we got to focus on here, focus on there. But the women are being thrown by the wayside. And I know they get frustrated every time.
Oh, like, God,
I know
Lana?
They get frustrated.
Whew. She throws them subs out there. Like, she is ready to, like, I don't want to take, I mean, not blow things out of proportion, but she has been throwing a lot of subs about like how unhappy she is and with creative and how they focus on the same people and how she's constantly pitching them ideas that they like use for other people. And her and Rusev's thing is just like, and I kind of understand, is like, what do we have to do to get put in the forefront? Like, we got over, the fans love us. Like, without your help, Rusev and Lana were able to like become like a really popular, like, you know, superstars. Like Lana trained to be a wrestler, but they never, like, I don't understand how some of these talents don't get that like push that they,
I think this is why they leave and go to different promotions.
Yeah.
Or just do their thing. Sasha ain't been back since WrestleMania.
Yeah, right. Oh God, she gives it like, just thinking about it.
She hasn't.
Like,
I would not be surprised if Sasha turned up at AEW.
I would actually love that. Like, just even seeing Dean Ambrose,
Jon Moxley,
I'm sorry, come out in AEW. I was like, I'm watching just to see him, and it would be the same thing for Sasha Banks. And then I read somewhere too that on Daily DDT that like AEW is going to be more of a competition for talent as opposed to the audience. Right. Like WWE is always going to have their fans. Like they're like Disney. They're the mainstream, like whatever. But their talent is where that's where AEW is going to hurt them. Is that talent is going to be like, either make me happy with my storyline or my character, or I want to leave. And now they actually have a viable other option. They always had other options, but now AEW is like the new hottest promotion. Like, you gotta make these superstars happy, or you gonna have more people asking for their release.
I really see that WWE is gonna be scrambling for talent. Like, you have the faithful ones, you have the Seth Rollins, the Roman Reigns, the Drew McIntyres, the Becky Lynches, the Charlotte Flairs, the Lacey Evans, but the ones like Sonya Deville, Asuka, and Kairi. Kairi just got called up. We haven't seen her since when? Like 3 weeks? We haven't seen them since 3 weeks.
And that's a makeshift tag team that
Paige
we don't even know where they are.
And what's their name? The Kabukis or whatever?
Kabuki Warriors?
What the hell is that?
I mean something in Japanese. All I know is that it's not offensive, because that was like trending on Twitter. It was like someone posted the definition. It was like, it's not offensive. It's actually a really cool name, but it's just like, I don't like after listening to Moxley on Talk is Jericho and like how overproduced everything. I feel like they like overthink things. They're like, okay, you're Japanese. Okay, like just let
there's a lot of cultural appropriation that goes on.
Yeah, and just imagine like if they let Asuka be Asuka, like how they did in NXT. Like, it's just I'm just disappointed.
It's very disappointing.
Altogether,
very disappointing.
And I used to always be that person like, don't complain. Like everyone acts like they can run WWE themselves, but ever since that peak of the first women's main event at WrestleMania, it just was like.
Right, and that moment was pivotal. I was actually there to see it.
Oh yeah,
in person. So for me to see that, like, I think I screamed louder for when Becky won than when the Shield reunited at Barclays at SummerSlam. And we all, if you guys seen the video, I posted it. PR posted it. Like my screams was like, it was like Mariah Carey who. So for me to scream louder for Becky in that moment, for me to have tears in my eyes, for me to witness the first ever women's main event at WrestleMania, whether Charlotte put it together, like was the glue to bring it together, whatever, or Ronda, like the botches, everything, even though it was botches and it was this and it was that. Everything meshed well and it went well.
It was a very
good match. Like even though when Becky said WrestleMania was April 7th, she won the belts on April 8th. It was worth it. Like I went home with no voice.
Oh my God.
No voice, and the next day I couldn't walk to go to work. Like that's how crazy it was.
That was such a long week. So speaking of the Super Bowl of wrestling, WrestleMania. So Double or Nothing happened. And so there were 2 women's matches. And some people were okay with that. Some people weren't okay with that. And so we had the triple threat that got turned into a fatal 4-way. And like you said before, we would have probably been screaming probably the loudest when she came out. So I'm glad that she's a part of that. And then there was the 6-woman tag match that had a lot of good storytelling. Some people said it went on a little long, but again, I'm not going to be mad at a long women's match in a pay-per-view. So all in all, I'm excited for what All Elite Wrestling is going to bring, and I can't wait to watch their show on TNT. That's going to be like really, really, really dope.
Same. Really I can't wait. Like people know me now. Like I do not answer the phone for WWE. Now it's gonna be double.
I have on my Google Calendar on Mondays and Tuesdays from like 8 to 11. It just says busy. So it's like no matter who looks on my calendar, I'm just busy.
I'm busy because that's just what it is. It's actually just what it is.
Yeah. So I want to do this thing because we are nothing but like our listeners and our social media following. So we've been asking a lot of polls and stuff on our social media because every show I want to kind of feature them on the show and share their comments, and then we can kind of talk about it. So I have a friend named Chris, and he'll probably definitely be on our show at one point, and he loves women's wrestling like so much, and he's a little younger than me, so he grew up watching the Divas era, so he has a love and respect, and he's also gay, so he has a love and respect for the Divas era and women's wrestling that is like unimaginable. So I love to get his input on things. So this is what he has to say about AEW and Double or Nothing. The women are amazing. The company shows progression with the signing of Nyla Rose, and we'll get to her. I feel that although she's the first trans wrestler signed, we also have to look at her as just a female AEW talent instead of a trans talent. And I'm eager to see her and Kong go one-on-one.
Oh, that would be a great match. Jesus.
Right?
Come on,
those
Chris.
Powerhouses.
Yes.
Yo, he be knowing. So because it's Pride Month, and LGBTQ is all a part of our fan community. Did you see what Jim Cornette said about Nyla Rose?
Did not.
So he released.
Was it something offensive?
Yes, it was. And I'm not gonna like repeat what he said basically, but he did a recap episode about Double or Nothing, and basically just trashed Sonny Kiss, and he didn't really understand the this is how out of touch he is. He felt like AEW should have explained his Sunny Kiss's gimmick and Nyla Rose's gimmick. Like, they're not a gimmick. Like, that's like
that's them.
That's them. And it just shows. Now, if that's the mentality that like this old wrestling historian has, it makes me even more proud that AEW has a trans wrestler signed full time and an openly gay wrestler signed.
But WWE has an openly gay wrestler signed with Sonya Deville.
They do.
He doesn't need an explanation of her gimmick
of
being a lesbian or a homosexual.
Yeah.
Like, so why you need a gimmick for a trans wrestler or another openly gay wrestler in another promotion? Jim Cornette, get your life.
Exactly. Please get your life. And I'm really proud of Nyla Rose and Sunny Kiss for being out in this what can be a toxic industry. So shout out to All Elite Wrestling for all that representation and diversity going on. And then Chris goes on to say, the Japanese women did great. I've been a fan of Aja Kane and Hikaru Shida for a while now. I'm excited to see Penelope Ford in the future. I love her in-ring work. Brandy was the most underrated part of Double or Nothing, showing that she is a boss, inserting Kong into the match. Let's also talk about Brandy Rose giving Dustin Rose the spear. And getting sent. So DDP
yes, I saw that.
To come out and get him.
My friend shout out to Mike. He actually found the entire match between Dustin and Cody on Facebook and tagged me, and I saw went very emotional. Dusty is like proud.
I love it.
I saw how DDP came in and took Brandy out, and it was funny. Like, I like that part. Like that part right there. The comparison to how she's like Stephanie, because Stephanie is quick to hit.
Yes.
Sledgehammer, just like Brandy gave to Cody.
Ooh, I want to ask you about that also. But yeah, shout out to Brandy Rose, boss bitch of AEW. We love boss bitches like her, so we are excited to see what she brings. And I love how like main of a role she played at Double or Nothing. That was really cool. But yes, I didn't particularly like all the shots at WWE, only because I feel like WWE was being petty with, like, remember when they weren't allowing All Elite Wrestling shirts and stuff like that? And I was just like, I love how All Elite is like being mature and just like they're going to exist in their own bubble and like let their work speak for itself. And then the first show, like, you're taking the sledgehammer to like clearly a Triple H type throne. So how do you feel about them throwing shade at WWE?
I love it. I absolutely love it. And here's why I love it. Because it's like Triple H has shaded Cody for so long when he was with Randy Orton and Ted DiBiase Jr. to him being like by himself, then to him being Stardust. Like, these gimmicks, and then Triple H like really ragging on him. Oh, you're not this, you're not that, you're not this, you're not that. Like, WWE did not want to put those brothers in the same match together against each other. They just made magic that night.
Seriously. Oh my God. It was so emotional.
The blood, and then for people to sit here and say that the blood was too much, I couldn't take it. So what happened when you was growing up in Attitude Era or growing up in the Golden Era? Because there was blood too. Ric Flair bleeds like a Ric Flair match, the Stone Cold and Bret Hart match. Yeah, like and that. It gave me that feel when you saw Dustin's face. I'm like, that's Stone Cold right there. Like, that's that match. Yeah. So screw you who don't like blood.
Right. Watch something else.
Right.
Watch a not contact physical sports.
Right. Go watch golf
activity.
Or something.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you, Chris. And if you continue to interact with our social media, we might include you, and we'll put his social media in the comments so that you can follow him. So I want to kind of conclude this episode with just, where do you see the future of women's wrestling right now? This is the revamp of our show. This is us checking in, and just where do you think we are, and where are we going with this?
I see the evolution of the women's division like literally skyrocketing, because now there's more of a competition. now there's more of a reason for these women to really be into it. As for revamping us, we have so much in store for you guys. You don't even understand how much we have in store. This, like, between the guests and the location sites and everything, we have so much in store for you guys. So you just guys have to stay tuned. Like, what was it? Wednesday, PR and I was literally sitting at my job, which we're not going to really say which job it was. And we were sort of brainstorming, like, oh my gosh, it was so crazy. So you just have to wait for that. But I see for us evolving, just like the women in wrestling are evolving and still growing and maturing. And who knows? We said earlier in the previous episode that we might be working for WWE. We might be working for AEW.
Right.
And we don't even know. So
it's a lot of options out there.
It is a lot of options out there. And I just want to give a shout out to an indie wrestler who I've met last year or 2 years ago. Her name is Karen Bam Bam.
Oh yes, Karen.
She posted this video of her in the ring fighting 2 dudes.
I saw that.
She did a swinging heel kick and she did a double suplex on them, and she is so talented. Amazing. She's really on the rise. I would not be surprised if she got signed to AEW or even in the NXT match. She is doing her thing. Cameron, we see you. We're watching you, girl. Keep doing your thing.
Yes. I love that you did that, because now I kind of think we should shout out some dope indie talent for every episode. And so I know Karen as well, and she makes her own gear.
She does.
And her gear is always on point and colorful, and it fits her so well, and she always looks good in the ring. She's fly. Yeah, and she shows it. We looking out for you, girl, Karen. And she also used to wrestle with World of Unpredictable Wrestling, all these W's.
Yeah, right.
And they have a show on June 29th at Gleason's Gym. And that promotion is led by WWE Hall of Famer Johnny Rodz. So definitely check that out. We want to broaden the scope for ourselves as well. Besides WWE, there's a lot of local independent talent that we hope to even check out ourselves too. Yeah. Yeah. Wow, I'm like so excited about the future of those wrestling girls.
Right.
We don't want to put too much out there, because we want you to, of course, subscribe on YouTube. And we talked earlier before, you never know who's a wrestling fan. And if you know someone, word of mouth is always, if you know someone that's a wrestling fan, tell them to check out our show.
Right.
We want to know what you think. Get in our comments. You disagree, agree with anything we say. We love engaging with you all. So yeah, stay tuned.
Stay tuned later, y'all. This is Krista B.
And it's Queen PR.
Those wrestling girls are out.